I came out of college, more years than I'd like to think about, with a degree in maths and computing. And I sort of fell into a graduate recruitment program for a big tech company. And I fell into various sort of jobs after that in the tech industry, and through a very sort of troubled path of self-discovery. Every job I had, I felt I had very good reasons for being unhappy in it. I didn't like the work, I didn't like the people, I didn't like the management structure, I didn't like the strategy, until I found myself in a very good company with a very excellent set of people, good money, and really interesting work. And I still wasn't happy. And I kind of started realizing then, maybe I'm the problem. So it really something had to change, and I needed to figure out what it was I wanted to do. And I had very little idea. But brewing beer was something that I was doing at home. I've always been really, really interested in beer. I love it. I think it's a really underappreciated drink in Ireland, especially. So after a bit of research and several business plan strategies later that got torn up and rewritten and torn up and rewritten again, handed in my notice, left with my P45 and a vague idea of what I wanted to do, and started Metalman.
Okay, so this voyage of self-discovery, as some people often find their career paths in the bottom of a glass, you wanted to actually fill the glass.
Yeah, I think it's certainly not an unusual thing at all. Not in tech, not in insurance, not in retail. There's no industry out there where there isn't somebody working in a job who's going, really, I should be happy. Everybody thinks I should be happy. This is, on paper, this is a great job, but it's not for me. And it's really, really hard sometimes to take that step back and go, well, what is for me? Because there is no answer. And really all you can do is try. I think pick something that you think might work for you and give it a shot.
Have you found the answer?
I have for now. Who knows in 15 years' time if I still want to be making beer. Chances are not. But, we're having a great time. Metalman is 3 years old now. We started contract brewing our beer in a brewery in Tipperary. We now have our own brewery in Waterford since 2012. We're brewing more beer for more people than we can nearly keep up with at this stage. We've got 5 people employed at the brewery. It's a lot of fun.
And does it make any money for you?
Starting to. Early days of any startup. Times are lean. Promoters not getting paid. That's kind of inevitable with the way it starts. But we're now starting to make a bit of profit, which goes back into the company, which helps us grow, which helps us hire more people, which helps us do great things.
Well, I don't want to actually disappoint anyone who is thinking of starting a company, but to actually make a profit in 3 years is excellent. So very good. Most people can be up to 5 years before they get there unless they have significant financial backing.
We're definitely aided by the fact that there is a really growing interest in craft beer in Ireland at the moment. It's great. It's really lifting the craft beer scene, that people have travelled, they've gone and tasted beer on holidays or on a gap year or because they've worked abroad, and they've come back to Ireland and gone, seriously, are we still drinking the same beers that were on the bar 20 years ago? I had these great beers when I was in Australia or in the States. Why can't we get them? And over the last 5 years, that demand has led to an explosion in craft beer in Ireland, and it's brilliant.
What you've also done from an entrepreneurial point of view is you've actually found out what the market is looking for, as opposed to saying, I know what the market wants. Was that luck, or as it was part of your planning, or did you...
I suppose a bit of both. Craft beer is a huge thing, and we targeted very directly what we wanted to do. I had spent time working for a company that was based in Seattle. I'd spent a lot of time on the west coast of the States. Hop-driven, citrusy pale ales were really, really popular over there. The challenge I had with them was that a lot of them were 6, 7, 8%, which doesn't really work very well in the Irish market because we like to drink a beer as a sessionable beer. So what we looked at was trying to capture that flavour, but in a beer that would be a little bit lighter in character, that would allow people to, go out and enjoy it in the same way that they're used to enjoying other beers. But just deliver more flavour and more, an enjoyable experience. Craft beer is really more about experience, more so than volume or price. It's the whole package.
And you wouldn't be the remotest bit enthusiastic about this, would you?
And only a small bit. I love beer.
So I just wonder, Peter, will you do the timekeeping just so we know where we are in this, because it's quite... Sorry about interrupting.
That's quite all right. I can ramble on.
But how many beers do you currently have in your brewery?
Our main beer is our pale ale, which hopefully you're all going to get to try tonight. We brew something different, though, pretty much every month. So we like to mix it up. And, it keeps us excited about brewing new beers, and it keeps the consumer interested in what we're doing. So we've probably got about 12 or 13 different beers at this stage.
How long does it actually take to brew a beer?
It depends on the beer. Our pale ale, for example, is about 3 weeks from start to finish.
Okay, so somebody could come to you and say, we're organising a festival and we want you to create the beer for the festival.
Absolutely, as long as it's 3 weeks away. At least.
Okay, so it's a sort of three-week lead time into that. In terms of the employees, tell us sort of the journey of how you actually got going, how you got your first contract, and how you came back to have your own brewery.
Well, we started by talking to a lot of potential customers to see what the demand was out there, and we were lucky to know people who ran beers that specialised in craft beer in Ireland already, and some of them were, very much. We'll take any Irish craft beer that's going out there. There just isn't enough of them for our customers. So please, as soon as you brew it, bring it to us and we'll put it on the bar straight away. So that was hugely encouraging for us. So from that point then, as I mentioned, we used a brewery in Templemore to contract brew our beer initially. So we developed the recipe, they brewed it, we distributed it, and in the meantime I built out the brewery in Waterford. And that really gave us the legs without the huge strain of running a brewery, which we, obviously I had no experience running a brewery before. It gave me both exposure to the brewing process in the other brewery and exposure to the retail and wholesaling end of it with the customers that we built up during that time. So with those two together, then by the time we were brewing in Waterford, I was able to, we were 12 months in, hired our first staff member, and that was like a turning point for me. It was for the very first time in a year, I could leave the brewery and come back and something would have gotten done. It was brilliant. It was like this point where a light bulb went off and I was like, staff are awesome. Even though I had done loads of hiring and the opposite when I worked in the previous job I'd been in, I'd never really correlated it to the brewery and how it would work. And I think an entrepreneurial trait is sometimes, if I'm able to do it myself, if it's something I can do, then I will do it. Which really is the worst thing you can think. Okay,
there might be a little bit of reflection from your previous career, whereby no one did anything right for you. Then you finally learned the art of delegation.
Absolutely not. As I said, the last job that I was in, there was loads of really talented people doing a lot of really great work, and I felt like I was totally bringing up the rear there. But I think when I started out, I was very much, if it was something that I would be able to do, then I decided that I would do it myself to save the company money. But there's a big difference between the things that you can do and the things that you should do. And in an awful lot of situations, the things that you can do, you can also pay somebody to do while you do something way more important for the business. And it's very hard sometimes to figure out what those things are when you're starting out.
Okay, just before we wrap up, and again, other speakers work on this one, I'm going to ask you this question as well. What would be the biggest lesson you've learned, i.e. what some people might call mistakes or failures, but is actually a really good lesson that helped you forward?
I think there are lessons every day. If you're not learning, then you're probably not growing. I would say the hardest thing that we did, and I probably waited too long to start. We should have started sooner, but it's easy to kind of get caught up in the comfort of what you have and talk about what you're going to do for ages before you actually do it. Starting is really hard. And if I had my time again, I'd probably start 6 or 12 months earlier.
Absolutely brilliant. Listen, thank you very much indeed, Gráinne.
Thanks for having me.
Big hand for Gráinne from Metalman Breweries.